Hello Year 5 and welcome to week 2, Tuesday of our maths lessons, our second maths lesson of online learning by me. So we're going to begin today by recapping our mental maths work from yesterday where we were looking at the strategy of adding 9. So just a reminder then, when we're looking at adding 9, what we can actually do is we identified that 9 was very close to the number 10, one away. So we actually could see that we could add 10, so 56 add 10 to give us 66, and subtract 1 because we had 1 too many, which is 65. And this particular strategy is known as rounding and adjusting. Rounding to the next 10 and then adjusting our answer so that it is accurate. So what we're going to do today is we're going to progress to look at other numbers which are close to the next 10 and look at how we can use this rounding and adjusting strategy. So down here then we can see we have 56 add 29. Now 29 is just one away from 30. So what we can actually do is add 3 10s, add our 30 and subtract 1 because we have 1 too many. So 56 add 30. Well, I know that 5 10s add 3 10s is 8 10s. So 56 add 30 will be 86. Minus 1 will give us 85. And we're going to focus on applying this simpler strategy of adding 9 to larger numbers as well. Now today I would like you to take the number 235. If this number feels a little bit big, feel free to use the number 35 if you wish. So you're going to take the number 235 and you're going to choose one of the 3 columns below and you're going to have a go at adding those numbers to the number 235. You'll notice the numbers in green and yellow column end with a 9, so they are one away from the next 10. So you can apply that strategy of adding the next 10 and then subtracting 1. If you think you're going to try the red challenge, it's just important to note that obviously the ones are different, so that adjusting that you're going to need to do is going to be more than just taking away 1. So I'd like you to have a go at that now. Again, spending about 10 minutes or so. And like yesterday, if you find that you finish within those 10 minutes, then feel free to repeat with some other numbers. So I'd like you to pause the video now to have a go at those. Okay, so the answers are now up on the screen for you if you did have a go at the number 235. And again, you might wish to pause the screen so that you are able to mark what you've done so far. Obviously, if you did have a go with some other numbers, please use your calculator to check those ones for us. Okay, so on to our main lesson today. We're developing on from yesterday where we were looking at types of angles. We were looking at acute, right angles, obtuse and reflex angles. And we were identifying actually how, depending on the amount of degrees in an angle, determines which type of angle it is. Now we're going to continue with that understanding of degrees today and we're going to be applying it to turns. So our learning objective today is, can I identify turns in degrees? So how will we be successful? We're going to need to identify complements of 90 degrees. So numbers that are linked with 90 degrees, potentially lots of 90 degrees. So maybe what 2 lots of 90 degrees is or 4 lots of 90 degrees is. And also thinking about maybe being able to half 90 degrees as well to find other types of turns. We're going to be using the wording clockwise and anti-clockwise. So just a reminder of that then. Clockwise is the direction that the hands on a clock face and the direction that they move around the clock, and anti-clockwise is the opposite to that. Finally, you're going to need to listen carefully to instructions that I will give you so that you yourself can have a go at working your way around a compass and identifying turns and where you need to be. So just a brief recap from yesterday then, just a reminder, this knowledge of degrees is going to be important for us and we still will be linking this understanding today. So if an angle is less than 90 degrees, it is an acute angle. If it's more than 90 degrees, it's an obtuse angle. And if it's more than 90 degrees, let's go back to the obtuse angle, apologies. If the angle is more than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees, it's an obtuse angle. And if the angle is more than 180 degrees, it is a reflex angle. So again, this slide is there for you if you wish to skip back to it in your video to help you with your learning today as a reminder. Okay, so the vocabulary we're going to need to be aware of today. Lots of work around angle and degrees, position and direction, the idea of north, south, east, west, as we will be looking at a compass today, clockwise and anti-clockwise that we've talked about, a turn, a whole turn is going to be really important today. And when we're talking about these complements of 90 degrees, these in particular are going to be really important degrees of turn that we need to be aware of today. So we're going to begin today by looking at our compass. Now, if you have got the printed version of your work in front of you, great, you can stand with your compass in front of you. If not, that's not a problem, you can just use the screen in front of you. So I'd like you to have a look at the compass. And the first thing we are going to do is we are going to start on north. And I would like you to turn from north 90 degrees. I'd like you to do a quarter turn. I'd like you to do a quarter turn from north, and I'd like you to make that quarter turn clockwise. So I'll give you a moment to do that before I follow you. Okay, so here we come round. So from north, I get a quarter turn. A quarter, if you can see there, that would be half, 3/4, a full turn. I'm going a quarter of a turn of the compass, and I've ended up on east. Now hopefully you might notice something about the type of angle that my quarter turn has created. Yes, it has indeed created a right angle, so that helps us to know that we have turned 90 degrees. Now something to be aware of, if I'd said to you I'd like you to do a quarter turn from north anti-clockwise, we wouldn't have ended up on east. Where would we have ended up? Well, we would have done an anti-clockwise turn, we would have ended up on west. And still again, we've created that right angle from our quarter turn of 90 degrees. Let's have another look. This time we're still going to do a quarter turn, but we're not going to start on north this time. We're going to start on southwest, which is a little bit trickier. I would like you from southwest to do a quarter turn clockwise. So I'll give you a moment to do that before I follow you. So I want to do a quarter turn clockwise. Northwest. Now hopefully you guys arrived on northwest, and again we know that it's a quarter turn. It's going to create our right angle, and our right angle is 90 degrees. So even though it wasn't quite as straightforward as having that horizontal line from north to take us round, that vertical line from north to take us round to that horizontal line of east, this is where we've talked about before that sometimes obviously right angles are tilted. So it's being aware that we can still see that we've created that right angle because it is still a quarter turn from southwest. And once again, just a reminder, we said clockwise. Obviously if we'd said anti-clockwise, have a think about where we might have ended up. Yeah, and I'll follow you round, and hopefully yes, we reached southeast. So just being aware there, you can see the importance of that clockwise and anti-clockwise, and how we know that it's a quarter turn if it's going to create that right angle. Okay, so this time we're going to start on west, and we're going to go anti-clockwise a half turn. So I'll let you have a go at that. And I will follow. So I said anti-clockwise, didn't I? So anti-clockwise, half a turn. Yeah, you can see we've ended up on east. So actually a half turn shows that straight line. Can we remember what that straight line angle was? Having a think. Yeah, so it was 180 degrees. We've done a half a turn is 180 degrees. Now actually I'd said anti-clockwise, but you might notice if I'd actually said clockwise, we still would have ended up on east. So that half a turn, it doesn't actually matter, does it? If we go clockwise or anti-clockwise, we'll still end up in the same place. Okay, so another example then, we're going to do our half a turn again from southeast this time. So see where you end up. and I will follow you round. Should create that straight line, shouldn't we, for a half a turn, that 180 degrees to northwest. And again, same thing, if we'd gone anti-clockwise, we still would have ended up on northwest, on that straight line, 180 degrees. Okay, let's start with another one. So when we think about then a full turn, we start on north this time. Again, whether we go clockwise or anti-clockwise, a full turn, so if half a turn is 180, we're doing another half a turn to get back to north. So a full turn is once all the way around the compass. So whether I've started on north or east or southwest, we're going to end up in the same position for that one. Now then, the last one that I would like us to have a look at today, actually if we just go back to north, starting on north then, if I'd said a quarter of a turn to you clockwise, we would have ended up on east. So how much of a turn do you think it is to northeast? It's less than a quarter turn. In fact, it's half of a quarter turn. And almost these kind of parts of the star, the ends of the star, help us to work out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can see then that actually, if this is a quarter of a turn, this is actually an eighth of a turn. You can see it's smaller than that right angle of 90 degrees, so it's an eighth of a turn. It's half of a right angle turn. So, thinking about 90 degrees then, what is half of 90 degrees? So it's 45 degrees. So a quarter turn is 45 degrees. A quarter turn is 90 degrees. An eighth of a turn is 45 degrees. And we've got our half turn of 180 degrees, and our full turn, back to the start, is 360. Don't worry about remembering all these numbers at the moment. I will have a slide later that you can refer to and pause the video on. So, one last challenge then. If we're starting on southeast and I want to now do an eighth of a turn anti-clockwise, so not clockwise, anti-clockwise, an eighth of a turn anti-clockwise, where will I end up? I'll give you a chance to have a go at that before I follow. So obviously that would be a quarter turn, so an eighth of a turn, I would end up on east. And notice again, if we said clockwise, we'd end up on south, an eighth of a turn, and anti-clockwise, we're going to end up on east. So that clockwise and anti-clockwise is really important for our instructions today. So just a reminder then, if we're looking at obviously our full turn being 360 degrees, if we're doing a half a turn, obviously we're looking at half is going to be 180 degrees, and that bar model there just represents that. If we are then looking at a quarter of a turn, you can see my bars split into 4 now. We're looking at 360 divided by 4 is obviously 90. So 90 degrees for a quarter of a turn for that right angle. And finally an eighth of a turn then, so we're looking at half of 90 is 45 degrees. Okay, so that's just there, and this is something that might be worth referring back to as you work today. 45 degrees is equal to half a turn, 90 degrees a quarter of a turn, 180 half a turn. I have put 3/4 of a turn there, which is 270 degrees. You don't need to remember that one, but when you come to create some of your own, you might want that one in for the work that you're doing later. And 360 degrees for a full turn. So what are you going to be doing today? Well, you're going to be doing more of what we've just been practicing and I've modelled for you. You're going to complete this table. And this table gives you instructions of where to start on your compass and where to turn to. So you can see the example here, and if I do just draw a line, it's asking us to start on northeast here. So we can see we are starting on northeast here, and it's asking us from northeast to go from northeast to northeast to southeast a quarter of a turn. So we're going to go from northeast a quarter of a turn to southeast. Okay, and I can see that's a quarter of a turn, and if I want to, I could even draw that second line just to really show that. So it asks me how many degrees that will be. Well, I can see it's a quarter of a turn, so I know it's 90 degrees. The type of angle is obviously a right angle, and the fraction of the turn is a quarter. So you're going to have a go at completing this table. You will need to be aware of the types of angles. So again, if you want to skip back through the video to find those slides that are useful. And you need to be aware, obviously, half a turns and full turns and the degrees for those. So good luck, and your teachers look forward to seeing your work from today. Thank you.